Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to One Hub Racing. We are here this evening for the P1 Tier Championship. It is the penultimate round of the season. It is round 9. We are here for the ERT Montreal Grand Prix of Canada. This should be an absolute fantastic race here this evening, as we are getting right to the business end of the Drivers' World Championship. And quite controversially, the current Drivers' World Championship standings leader, Namsco, is not here. Attendance has been something that he's suffered with a little bit this season. It's unfortunately come and hit him again, but we've been a little bit inconsistent in our commentary partners this season, with whether me or Matthew missing. But it is Matthew alongside me for this evening. Matthew, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastically well this week. It is great to be here, and I hope you're doing better this week.
Yes, it's good to be back. I thought I was going to forget how to commentate with a bit of a delay, but we are ready to go. It is qualifying first for the Canadian Grand Prix, and then we will be getting into the main race. We are just getting proceedings underway here. There are 17 minutes to go in qualifying, and Jinx is first out on the circuit. The ET8man, who's put on some fairly decent performances in Spa-Francorchamps this season, was one of the more notable ones. He's currently 11th in the Drivers' World Championship, with the best result of 3rd, which was actually last week in Paul Ricard. Your championship standings: it is VSR Namsco on in the championship lead. It's then Oriel J. Cole, followed by ERT Timo. It's then ERT Samba and ERT Larkin in 5th position. It is 98 points at the top for Namsco, 96 for J. Cole, 87 for Timo. They are your three real championship protagonists. J. Cole could be in a very good position come the end of this evening, because of course, no Namsco, he can pull a very, very beautiful margin over Timo.
Yes, he certainly can, but of course, it could also go the other way as well. So we're eager to see which way that goes for J. Cole tonight, but he's been largely on top of championships before. Can he pull in front before the final round next week, which is probably where you'd want to be in front at the end of that race?
Yes, and a engine penalty for ERT Samba this evening is one of the big talking points. He will be serving his grid drop in the penultimate round of the season. Of course, last week's race winner. We're looking at Jinx then heading through turn number 1 and 2 of Virage Sema, and into towards 3 and 4. Just going to run right along the right hand side wall, heading through turn number 5, heading through turn number 6 now. Of course, famous corner, or infamous corner, for Sebastian Vettel's little mistake back in 2011, I believe it was. Apologies for that one. Run along the right hand side wall, heading in towards turn number 8 and 9, and then down towards the hairpin just past the DRS activation zone, in towards the hairpin of the Pingo. It's a very tricky hairpin, but we might see a car or two chuck it up the inside in towards here. It's a corner you can do it on, heading and exiting through turn 11 and 12 on towards the Casino Straight, down towards the famous Notre Dame chicane, or what's more commonly known as the Wall of Champions, or the Quebec Wall on the outside. Here comes Jinx through this final chicane. We're going to see a lot of penalties and a lot of invalidations picked up there. Just runs along that right hand side wall and heading across the start finish line. Jinx sets the banker time of 1:11.236, as there is the Red Bulls almost making contact. That was the Confessor running wide, and Right at Hell almost picking him up.
Yeah, and it did get a Confessor a 5-second grid penalty. I've just seen on the screen as J. Cole absolutely smashes Jinx's time there with a 1:10.010, so that's quite consistent. But yeah, definitely fast and furious in the early going. They are eager to get going after the small delay that we've had tonight, by the look of it.
Eager to get going. J. Cole, 1:10 flat is the provisional pole time. It's then awful unfortunate for the Confessor to pick up that 5-place grid penalty. Owen White coming across the line. He is just starting a run, actually. Apologies for that. He's just starting his lap. Merckx then heading in towards the final chicane, just going to run along the wall. Merckx started the season out brilliantly, winning the Chinese Grand Prix, but has been downhill from there. He goes to second on the grid here in qualifying. Next across the line, it won't be ERT Samba. He'll be heading into the pits, of course, to serve his engine suspension, or his engine drop. It'll be Marvin Muir next across the line, as he's heading through that final couple of corners. The chicane up next for the Haasman. New to the grid, was running very well in his debut in Belgium, and unfortunately did send himself, or he had a disconnect actually, apologies, didn't send himself spinning at all, he had a disconnect, but Marvin Muir up and across the line. It's going to be 4th position for the Outplayed Racing then, as next across the line will be Lakitu. He's invalidated his run actually, and then Ryder Dahl will be heading into the pits. We know there's a lot more in that from Ryder Dahl. Of course, he was blocked, but currently only 5 times on the board. OP Tim is invalidated, and invalidations will be a common theme around this Circus Jules Villeneuve.
Yes, there certainly were, and certainly will be, in fact. And I was just going to say, there certainly were in the P3 tier early on tonight, and I'm sure there was some in the P2, but that's Owen Wyatt into P5 with a 10.9, which, yeah, that's not too bad for considering the kind of times that we have been seeing. So that's a great first banker lap on the board for him. And what can Tim do? He's invalidated, so nothing on this lap, nothing on this time around.
Here comes Tima then heading in towards the final chicane on board with the Alpine Formula 1 car. Flicks it into the right, flicks it into the left. It just flicks in like it's a shopping trolley. Here comes Timo then across the line. It'll be 4th position. It'll be the second row of the grid for Timo so far then. Whether he'll be knocked off that perch, we will have to wait and see. Usually we see Namsco, the championship leader, up there, but of course he's not here this evening. Quite crucially, folks, if you're just joining us, J. Cole will presumably take the championship lead. Of course, we could see a lot of the guys crash out, but top 12 score points here in One Hub Racing. He just needs any of them, really, and he will be putting himself in a good position. That is, of course, ERT Samba retiring from qualifying. He is serving his engine penalty. Well, let's take a look at Lakitu then in the Alfa Romeo heading through turn 2.
Yes, he's going through turn 2. He's invalidated his first. He invented the end of the out lap and the final chicane, so he probably didn't get a chance to do a lap on the first time around. So this is the second time around, and he's keeping much more easily in the white lines. And he's under the Aramco bridge there as he comes up into the next chicane, which is very easy to invalidate, but he's done a good job of keeping it in between the lines. And that is the lap over and the front wing off.
He's done a good job of keeping it in between the lines, but not unfortunately in a straight line, quite crucially, and that is Lakitu, who has sent himself spinning. The Confessor is just behind him. He is also on a lap heading in towards the right and left of 8 and 9. Famous moment there was Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton toying for the DRS, and then down here we've seen some big crashes and some beautiful moves over the years. Felipe Massa on Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, actually, quite ironically, into there, and then Robert Kubica had a fairly awful whack into that right hand side wall. But here comes the Confessor heading down to the Wall of Champions. He said he was going to hit it in the opening lap. We'll wait and see if that prediction comes through. Just brushes alongside it here in qualifying. Let's see where the Confessor can put his Red Bull then. 110 flat to beat. It'll be a 110.5 for the Red Bull. Puts him 6th on the grid provisionally. But still yet to see some improvements from a lot of guys. Still yet to see a lap from Tim, the Confessor's new fierce rival. Those have been having some friendly banter in the Discord server throughout the past 2 weeks. But, well, I say friendly banter, not sure how friendly it is. But we might see a bit of an on-track rivalry as Tim is getting ready, or he is starting his lap, heading through turn number 1 and 2.
Yes, he certainly is. But
that's a wobble.
On there. And I just got to mention, look at all the cars that are in the 110.5 bracket there. There's going to be a lot of real estate to find with a 10th, or not even a 10th, half a 10th, maybe a 1,000th of a second here or there. You could improve a position, so that's definitely going to be key in the final few moments of this qualifying session. But despite the slide on the track map, Tim has gone purple sector 1, but we don't have Taz tonight, and yeah, okay, he's invalidated, so there we go.
Yeah, Tim, I'm going to assume you have the stream on or something, because that's not normal to do in qualifying. But we'll drop down to Cass, the man behind them, and see what Cass can set here as the Williams is heading down in towards the Le Pingle hairpin. It's a very tricky track, this. 4.361 kilometres, 2.710 miles, 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right. Lap record in race trim is a 1:13.078 by Valtteri Bottas. I imagine we'll be getting something much quicker than that this evening, due to a fastest lap attempt as Cass heads in towards the final chicane. A lot of drivers struggling through there this evening as there's 8 minutes and 50 to go in qualifying. Here comes Caston, and that is going to be provisional pole position. He wasn't struggling that much. It was a great lap from Cass, and he's the first man into the 109s. He beats J. Cole quite crucially by 0.027. That's a great lap from the Williams. He'll be happy with that.
Yeah, he certainly will. That's a fantastic effort. About halfway through qualifying, and will it be enough to get a provisional, or indeed pole position come the end of the session? And his teammate is in third with a 10.2, but I believe he's just started another lap. So can his teammate make it an all Williams front row? And when was the last time we saw that?
Monza, I think, in here. In one hub, I definitely think we had Merckx and Cass up there in Monza. I'm not too sure if it was a front row, but certainly in real Formula 1, which is what you're getting at, we've not seen a Williams front row for quite some time. I think there was one time at Silverstone, maybe in 2015 or 16. I can't fully remember, but I think we might have seen one. Here comes Merckx then. He is currently a tenth and a half down, so there's going to have to be some big improvements in this final sector if he wants to get up there and match Cass's lap. He's currently... No, there goes that lap. That's a touch on the grass, and that's not where you want to go. Marvin Muir is about 0.4 of a second up in the middle sector. This is an excellent run from the Haasman so far, and he's going to have to give it all to get into that first position. Marvin Muir would love to impress here in One Hub Racing. Flicks it in to the right and the left, and just on the limit through there. That's an excellent run. This could well go to the top and go purple for Marvin Muir across the line. Oh, it's second. Just look how close that one is. That is exceptionally close, as Ryder Dahl was 2.5 tenths up. He's pulled into the pit lane. We look at Timo then, purple sector 2, heading through the turn 10 hairpin and down towards the final tricky chicane.
Yes, it is a very tricky chicane now. Just to keep an eye on Lakitu, who's back on track as well to try and improve on his earlier efforts. But yeah, we'll see what exactly happens from him. But Jinx is now through the final chicane.
That's a good run from Timo. He's gone to 4th. Let's have a look at Jinx then through the final chicane. Here comes the McLaren, and that's good enough for 8th. He's going to have to find a bit more time, as we do see the Mercedes of DRTY Spy, I might just call him Spy for simplicity's sake, but Spy heading through the turn 5, or turn 6 and 7, apologies I should say, lefts and rights, and in towards the rights and lefts of 8 and 9, and then it is near the hairpin right, of course, at turn number 10. 41.6 in the middle sector, not too shabby for the new kid on the block. His teammate Nipro is already out of qualifying and will be starting towards the back on the back row of the grid, presumably, if Lakitu gets a run in. But let's wait and see where Spy can put it. Flying through there, right on the limit. No invalidations, quite crucially. This could be a good time, actually, heading up towards the top. It's 4th position, and now 4 drivers within a tenth of a second here in qualifying. That's just how close it is here in One Hub Racing. That is truly sensational, as Lakitu does get a time on the board, and he now goes to 10. That does put Nipro and Samba on the back row.
Yeah, it's always important to get a time in, but usually you're not waiting to the final 5.5 minutes before you've got your first time in on the board. But this is quite a difficult track, as we've alluded to already, and you just got to keep going, and eventually you'll get your line right, and eventually you'll get a lap in, as we've seen there from Lakitu. But I'm sure he'll be looking to go a little bit quicker than that in the final stages of the session, but it's been fast and furious up the front with just about 14 thousandths between pole position, or not pole position at this point, but there still could be another moment of magic further down.
Yeah, and we've certainly seen late poles be the big talking point heading into races. The Confessor had one. He could still take pole position here in Canada. Doesn't feel he has the pace to. Was cruelly denied a podium in Spa-Francorchamps, of course, as how did the Confessor get on in Paul Ricard? He did get a podium in Paul Ricard, actually. He got second. I was just trying to remind myself. I couldn't remember if I did see it or not. Here comes Merckx flying through the final corner. He's going to be starting a run. Let's see then. How's this one going to go? How's your bottle? In towards turn number 1, in towards turn number 2. Not too shabby from Merckx. Of course, made a bit of a mistake on his last lap. He'll want to get up there with his teammate Cass, because those two drivers have been nip and tuck all season. The two PC drivers in the Williams racing team. I'm going to imagine they're some sort of companions, some sort of friends, Cass and Merckx. Decent run through there, a bit of a wobble on exit for Merckx, just gets a kick out of the rear and just has a little bit of a slide. but he does catch it well. You want to avoid that little bit of a sticking out barrier there. You can't quite see. We got a very good angle, as that is, unfortunately, an invalidation for Mert. We drop down to the Confessor. Is the Confessor on a run, or is he just starting one? No, he's only starting a run, so heading through the final chicane. We'll still stick with the Confessor and see what Twitter's most famous man can produce here in qualifying in towards turn number 1. If you want to know how the Confessor was preparing for this race, he was telling all the drivers, and both me and Matthew, about the Battle of Hastings.
Yes, it's certainly it's always informative here in One Hub Racing. Whether you think you're going to wake up and learn about a topic or not, you're certainly going to have the potential to do that. So we appreciate the knowledge, but if I did say you could save it for after the race and I'll make him driver of the day, but no, I guess he doesn't want to be driver of the day.
Yeah, obviously not. Or maybe he's just qualifying at the back just so he can get that nomination for finishing second or something. He knows you like a little bit of a bold prediction. That's a very good middle sector from the Confessor, as much as we are giving him a little bit of a kick in the side. He's on a good run. That he needs to hope that Haas stops weaving in front of him, however, as he's heading through the final couple of corners.
Yeah. It was the Haas of Tim there in the background, but hopefully it didn't cause him any issues at all as he crosses the line.
P6, not bad from the Confessor. Not bad, as Marvin Muir has actually gone to second. Completely missed that from Marvin Muir. No, we didn't miss that from Marvin Muir, apologies. I thought he just went to second recently, but he's on an outlap. J. Cole has just started his run, so we'll see what the man who set the banker time of a 1:10 can produce here. Entering in towards the right and the left. The P2 champion from last season has produced a very good first sector, 19.5 through the first sector. This is a very decent run from J. Cole. He didn't believe he was able to take 2 championships in a row, especially considering how the season started for both himself and Larkin. Larkin currently enjoying his time skiing, so Larkin, we do hope you're having a ball. J. Cole, that is an improvement from Marvin Muir. Marvin Muir is on pole position here in Canada. The new kid on the block has gone on pole position. Was going to originally say that's an improvement from J. Cole, but Marvin Muir took the words out from my mouth, and that is an excellent run from Marvin Muir, who takes provisional pole position. What can J. Cole do then? Can J. Cole somehow beat it? Flicking right, flicking left. Let's see what the Ferrari can do. Heading through the final corner. Here comes J. Cole. There goes Tim. J. Cole doesn't take pole. He's 0.020 off. Tim has snatched pole off his teammate Marvin Muir. Ryder Dow has snatched pole where he took his first One Hub Racing podium. The Red Bull has taken pole right at the death. What about Cass? He's invalidated his run, unfortunately. Can Jinx maybe have another part in this story? Qualifying, we're still not at the checkered flag yet. All these improvements are going in very, very early on. There's still people to set laps. Jinx is going to be starting his run only now. Is he going to make the line, actually? We didn't quite catch the time on it. He has made the start-finish line. He will get one more run in, but Ryder Dow takes provisional pole position as of now. There's 23 seconds left on the clock. No more run for Tim. No more run for Marvin Muir. We said surprise poles were the story of One Hub Racing's P1 tier. This could well be another one, but let's see what Cass can do. He needs to find 0.2 of a second over the course of 3 sectors. Marvin Muir has invalidated. Cass has looked retired, apologies. Marvin Muir, P3. That is a crash. Who's that crash for? That is for one of the Red Bulls.
Owen Wyatt. I was on board with him, but he...
No, Owen Wyatt actually, through the final corner. Owen Wyatt picking up a crash. That's an improvement from Spy. And here comes Cass then. He was improving in that middle sector. This needs to be a monster. Heading through the final chicane. There'll be no championship this season, but he needs to get as close to the wall of champions as possible. That's an excellent run. Can the Williams take pole from 5th? Cass across the line. It's pole position in Montreal for the Williams. Excellent run from Cass. He's taken pole right at the death, unless maybe Spy has something else to say. He didn't improve his time. It was improvements elsewhere. Here comes Spy towards the line. Will he snatch pole position off Cass across the line? No, it'll only be good enough for 6th. Is Timo improving? He's invalidated. Cass takes pole position here in One Hub Racing.
Yes, he certainly did take pole position. That was a fantastic improvement from Cass at just the right time. And I was wondering which one of the cars will be on pole today, because you kept seeing improvement after improvement and different provisional pole after different provisional pole, and then was on a decent lap, and he slightly pinched the apex of the chicane and put it into the wall himself, so he could have been up there as well, but as it stands, he's not, but he could be at the end of the race.
He might be come the end of the Grand Prix, but Cass, that's an excellent lap, a 109.537. That's nothing to frown upon as the Williams takes pole here in One Hub Racing. An excellent lap as we are just waiting for Timo to enter his pit box. It's Cass from Rotterdam from Tim.
Yes, and of course you have Marvin Muir in fourth there, and J. Cole, Aspy, Timo, Confessor, and Jings round out the top 10.
And a 5-place grid penalty, of course, for the Confessor, but Canadian Grand Prix qualifying, it's a 109.537. It'll be Cass on pole position, followed by Ryder Dahl, Tim, Marvin Muir, J. Cole, Spy, Timo, the Confessor, Merckx, Jinx, Lakitu, Owen White, and then our 2 engine penalties of Nipro and Samba. Matthew, I'm going to hand it over to you so we can hear about our fantastic One Hub Racing sponsors and partners.
Yes, thank you, and as always, our sponsors and partners here, One Hub Racing are as follows. We have Next Level Racing, who sponsor the league by providing prizes. And we have Pure Sim Gear, who sponsor the league by providing a new product not launched yet to the driver with the most podiums. And Gamer Goose sponsor the league by providing Gamer Goose samples to trophy winners. And Aztec Sim Sports sponsor the league by providing a multitude of prizes with different ways to win them. For example, the driver with the most fastest laps wins a set of Forte pedals, and the driver with the shortest combined qualifying time wins a set of Forte pedals and boots. And well, now we move to our partners, our Vespertine, who support our official apparel, and ERT partner, the ERT Go and Get Stuff Award and our league trophies. And we are powered by SimGrid, run our seasons through their community platform. That's where we find all the standings, what happened last week, and the calendars, and all the things we need to know. And of course, I'll take a moment to thank the Taz team as well, who work hard behind the scenes, providing us data that we could see. Like, if a driver has knocked their front wing slightly but choose not to pit, it would show up as about 3% damage. But yeah, that's always good. And there's the fantastic team here at One Hub Racing. And of course, thank you to you in the chat for watching.
Yeah, thanks to you in the chat for watching, of course. Just having a look at some of the pre-race interviews. Tim, who starts third, said, "This is bad, it's such a weird track." Oh no, never mind, that's Paul Ricard's interviews. We'll try the Canada ones, maybe. Yes, let's see then. Who has been nominated for the P1 tier? I found you, Matthew. I found your interview. Timo, there we go. There's Tim. He said this is actually his favourite track on the calendar and he's looking forward to it. I'm kind of glad I didn't read out his France interview then, because he would have been very annoyed at me. He said he's going to try survive and see how much of a risk he's willing to take on the track limits. Of course, track limits are a big factor here in Canada. We're going to see lots of 3-second time penalties popping up tonight, and with only one race after this, and with only this race and one after this, are you in a position for any championships? And Tim said no, not really. He'll just try to win both remaining races and end on a high. As you're looking at the Formula 1 Paddock Club, we are getting ready to go racing here in Montreal. The first Canadian Grand Prix, of course, held at Mosport Park in 1961, but it didn't achieve championship status until 1967, and the race altered between Mosport and Circuit Mont-Tremblant before safety concerns moved the race here into Montreal. We've seen 6 debut winners here in Montreal, with drivers taking their maiden F1 victories of Gilles Villeneuve in 1978, who the track is named after, Thierry Boutsen in 1989, Jean Alesi in 1995, with of course one of the most famous ones, Lewis Hamilton in 2007, with Robert Kubica in 2008, and Daniel Ricciardo in 2014. Will we see another maiden victory here? We will have to wait and see. But with 19 seconds to go, Matthew, who wins this one?
Well, always known for a bold prediction, but I think on this occasion I'm going to say it's going to be the man that starts at pole position today, who's going to drive off and win this and control the race superbly from the front.
That's an unusual Matthew prediction. That really is. Yeah. As we get on the way for the formation lap here in Canada, let's have a look at the tyres the drivers have started for. Whoa, that's a mix. Cass on pole position, On the softs, Ryder Dahl, who starts second. Ryder Dahl took a podium in the P1 tier here 2 seasons ago on the F1 2021 game. Or 3 seasons ago, was it? I can't remember, but Ryder Dahl took a fantastic podium where NSX Montana wrapped up his championship. Tim in third, followed by Marvin Muir in fourth, also on the hard compound tyres. J. Cole on the mediums, followed by Spy. It's then Timo, Merck, Jinx and Lakitu also on the mediums. Lakitu with lots of experience here in Canada. Expect him to perform home white on the softs. Then Nipro on the mediums. The Confessor gone for the mediums as well. He doesn't quite start last after his 5-place grid penalty. And then Samba has gone for the softs. He's looking to work his way through the pack and try to get something out of this race. A little bit overcast here in Canada. I wonder, will we see any rain?
Well, it's looking likely, but you're never really 200% sure ever. But I think I'm going to say there's not going to be rain, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was by the same token, because you never really know, especially when the clouds look like that.
Yeah, you never really know. We head down the Casino Straight here in Montreal. There's only been one Canadian winner, and that is, of course, Gilles Villeneuve, the driver who the track is named after. Very famous driver, unfortunately died in a motorsport accident in Zolder. So we do remember Gilles Villeneuve anytime we race around here in Montreal. But now we get ready to go racing. The Confessor gonna line us up on the grid, or he was last, but it's gonna be Samba who lines us up on the grid. Let's get ready to rumble in Canada. 2, 3, 4, 5, red lights. And we go racing here in Canada. Very good launch from Cass. Horrible launch from Ryder Dahl. Marvin Muir and J. Cole already alongside. There's a big crash already. Alpine in the wall at the background. Ryder Dahl tries to hold it up the inside. J. Cole fast starter. Bit of contact between the two. Ryder Dahl and Marvin Muir have both gone round early on here in Montreal. Horrible race start for a lot. Tim is down 11 spots. So is his Haas teammate. Nathan Samba is P3 after 4 corners of racing. He started last position. What a race start for Samba. The seas have parted and ERT Moses has gone through. What a launch initially from him. The 2 Mercedes are getting scrappy with Jinx, and Jinx might lose another position here. The soft tyres have lit up and Samba's in third, but Cass leads the opening lap here in Canada.
That was quite an impressive start there from Samba. I don't think I've seen anything like it before. That is fantastic, and that is exactly what you'd be hoping to do on the soft tyres, a gamble to put it on first, given how quickly they drop off at the start of the race. But with starts like that, I think it's a gamble well worth taking. And will he be second by the end of the lap? Yes, he will. He's got J. Cole as well down the straight.
Down the inside goes Samba, and ERT Samba is through. Tim, by the way, has not started the race. He's in the garage, so Tim has not started the Canadian Grand Prix. Here comes Spy up the inside of Jinx, and this is equal tyres and an equal playing field between the McLaren and the Mercedes, both with Mercedes power in the back of those cars, but of course we are on equal. Bit of a wobble from Jinx, and Spy does get the position. That's P5 for the Mercedes. Now the 2 soft runners, the fast starters. We thought ERT Samba would have a quick start. He didn't expect it to be like that, and he's now up onto the podium placings already. That's Marvin Muir around. That is Marvin Muir around. There seems to be a bit of debris there. It doesn't look like it's a Haas debris, but it is a Haas debris actually, as he does a front wing damage.
Yes, I mean it's a 3-second time penalty as well for having a spin. That's a little bit, it compounds the small mistake he might have made there to lose the end plate of his front wing, get a penalty, and now he's just going to be trying to get it back to potentially change his wing, because I think you can. Depends on which side of the wing is damaged, of course. You could live with it, but maybe Marvin Muir, he's on the hard tyres already, so he may just think he's slower than anyone anyway, so he'll just stick out there and just see what he can do. Or, of course, he could well come in as well. Those are his options. Which one will he do?
Yeah, of course, if you're new to One Hub Racing, it is 2 mandatory pit stops for these drivers. You do have to pit twice, hence why we're seeing a lot of guys start on the softs. They want to get that first mandatory pit stop out of the way nice and early. But Cass pulling away up the front, leads by 2 seconds over ERT Samba. J. Cole currently in a very good position to extend his championship lead over Timo. Or, apologies, he does have to, of course, still battle with Namsco, but with no Namsco, it's J. Cole's opportunity to pull 20 points over the AlphaTauri. It would be an excellent performance if he was able to do it. Marvin Muir coming back out as Tim has rejoined, but I don't think he will be able to rejoin the races. There's no actual car going around the circuit. Marvin Muir comes back out on a set of the medium compound of tyres.
Yes, it's certainly an option that he had, and decided that he was going to pit and go for the mediums, which I think are the better race tyre at this stage of the race anyway, from what he was on. So that's definitely a good move. He's out of the points for now, but of course he's only one position out of them, and there's still quite a lot of laps to go, and you never know who's about to have an incident. And Canada bites hard, especially in the Wall of Champions, but Cass is in the lead and has been since the flag.
Owen Wyatt taking P7. Good start for Owen Wyatt over Nipro. Owen Wyatt now up to 7th position, and that's Marvin Muir actually getting past Timo. So two of the early pitters. Timo back with a switchback. Marvin Muir looking to get the exit. He's going to swap in and swap out, and he's going to look to try and get past, and that's excellent straight line speed for the Haas. He's going to take this one fairly easily, and Marvin Muir now up to 12th here in the Grand Prix. He's back into the points already, so that's the excellent advantage of a different point system here in One Hub Racing.
Absolutely, and of course, while we touched on the point system, fastest lap point inside and crucially outside the top 10 here. So there's two fastest lap points available on any given week. So you could finish, for example, you could finish 19th to get fastest lap of the race and still get a point out of it.
Still could, as Cass leads here in Canada, 2 seconds. So it's not really fluctuating up the top. It's staying fairly stable. And Cass then, how he would love to win this Canadian Grand Prix, the man on the PC. Samba in 2nd position, followed by J. Cole. Merck now putting J. Cole under pressure. J. Cole, I wonder, is he just feeling the nerves of this championship? Of course, won the P2 tier, not with the best of performance in Bahrain last season. Of course, we don't head to Bahrain. We've already had the Bahrain Grand Prix, which was won by Mr. Not to be named here in the P1 tier, but I believe the win was given to the Confessor after it, as the Confessor lost it in the dying stages of the race. But J. Cole doesn't have to face Canada this time round if he's looking to win the championship. Of course, he still has to survive here in Montreal and try and pick up good points. We can't be getting too far ahead of ourselves, but he does head to Silverstone next week for what would be a home Grand Prix for the season finale of the P1 tier.
Yes, it's going to be a home race for quite a lot of our grid here at One Hub Racing, and I'm sure the excitement is going to go through the roof. But it's going to be a fantastic way to sign off the season, and yeah, it's been a fabulous season so far. And of course, we still have the rest of this race and next week to look forward to. But it's been fantastic battles pretty much up and down the grid all season long, and long may it continue. And I think that is
Nipro right on the back of the Confessor. The Confessor was just forcing him to try and work away past it. That's Owen Wyatt in for an early pit stop. He's trying something different on the set of the soft compound of tyres, as the softs will be falling off now. So I expect the top two to be in fairly soon. Nipro not able to find a way past the Confessor, and as you were saying, Matthew, we have seen some great battles up and down the grid, and especially when the attendance has not necessarily been there. These guys have put on a show, but that's Nipro who puts on a donut show for the grandstand. He's sent himself spinning, and now he will fall off the two Red Bulls and 5.5 seconds adrift of the field now for Nipro. Still ahead of Owen Wyatt, but Owen Wyatt, of course, has made a pit stop.
Yes, touching on that subject, of course, the undercut is very powerful here, so maybe Owen Wyatt is looking to get ahead of some of his rivals in the early stages, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the leaders, as you said last time around, pit this time around, because the soft tyres will be close to useless any time now. So if I were in the lead of a race, I'd think what's going on with the rest of the field, but if I was leading the race, I'd pit now, and that's exactly
Samba in. Nathan Samba is into the pit lane. He's back on his PlayStation this week, I've noticed. He has been on PC for some of the season at least. I'm not sure what he was on in Paul Ricard, but Samba is back on his PlayStation. Let's see how this pit stop goes from set of the mediums for Samba. He's trying the undercut on the race leader. Yellow flag, that's Nipro into the wall of champions. This could bring out a safety car at just the perfect time for Samba. It has. The full course safety car has come out. Nipro has gone spinning, and into the wall of champions goes the Mercedes. Maybe a sign for the future, but for now he's out of the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yes, he is, and that's excuse Excuse me. Sorry, I was just trying to work out the the gap for RY to see if the undercut's essential, but of course the safety car has now ruined any chance of that because everyone has to go a set limit. So whether the guys on the mediums will pit to fresh mediums will be remains to be seen, but Cass will surely pit this lap.
Yeah, surely. Has that worked out for Nathan Sambo? I said originally it had, but I don't think it will because that gives Cass a free pit stop. I meant it's worked out really well for Cass here. For some reason, IndyCar rules got into my head, and if you don't know the IndyCar rules, the pit lane closes when the safety car comes out, so that was why Samba would have been helped out. But into the pits goes Cass. Let's see what tyres he goes for.
Oh dear.
Oh, that is not good at all. That is a drive-through penalty for J. Cole, and a drive-through penalty for Jinx as well, I believe it was. That's not good for speeding under the safety car. That is potential to ruin this race maybe for those two. It's a rainbow of tyres once again. Race leader Cass is on the mediums. Here comes Samba, but remember Cass does not have to do turn 1 and 2, so he is still in the lead, and Samba's going to come out behind J. Cole, but J. Cole, quite crucially, now is a drive-through penalty.
But of course, he can't serve that until the safety car has got in, so this will be a little frustrating for Samba, but he wouldn't be too worried about it at the same time, knowing that just stick to your line. Eventually, J. Cole will disappear down the pit lane again for an unscheduled meander through it at a pace that's not happy, but that's what happens when you speed under the safety car. But of course, it's not necessarily his fault. The Delta is a little bit temperamental, let's say, at that point. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think perhaps it should be noted that that could be the reason for it. I mean, maybe we'll ask him after the race what happened with the drive-through, but at the moment the safety car is out and everyone has put new tyres on, I believe.
Jinx already popping into our comments saying TF this. I'm going to say what TF means, of course, but oh, Talent Factory, there we go, Talent Factory sports team. No, that's not what he means. He's angry, and rightly so, because that's an unfair drive-through penalty, and he's going to have to wait till green flag conditions to serve it. Your tyre situation as of now is Cass on mediums, J. Cole on hard, Samba on... Oh, excuse me. Samba on 1 lap old mediums, Mercked on the softs, Spy on the mediums, Jinx on the mediums, Owen Wyatt on 2 lap old mediums. The Confessor is back in, so he is trying this trick. And he tried in Belgium, it didn't end too well from in Belgium, but he's going to probably go for a set of hards here and get his 2 mandatory pit stops out of the way. He absolutely is. Marvin Muir, who has left once again, I believe, is on the mediums, and Timo also on the mediums. Of course, Tim didn't even get started here, but Cass leads the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yes, it's certainly something to keep an eye on for the Confessor to see if that 2-stop is doable. I mean, the hard, like I said, is not a fantastic race tyre, but it'll get him to the end. But whether he'll be making enough progress on them remains to be seen. But he certainly doesn't have to stop again anyway. But if there is another safety car, I'm sure he'd love the opportunity to whack on fresh mediums, or even later on in the race, some fresh softs. Make a play for fastest lap of the race as well and get yourself an extra point at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. And the circuit here in Gilles Villeneuve was originally called the Notre Dame Circuit. That is the name of the island we are currently on, which is completely man-made. This island, completely man-made. The Notre Dame Island that the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is situated on. Of course, this is part road, part street circuit. It certainly looks like it's a permanent racing facility. However, there is parts of it that it is public road during the day. Of course, you can see various bridges across it to go from point A to point B. And I'm sure there's some beautiful scenery in the middle of the circuit. In the paddock, you can see all the wildlife, all the forests nearby, and it is a beautiful place for a Formula 1 race, or for One Hub Race. And if you're enjoying the action here in One Hub Racing, make sure you do pop a follow on the Twitch channel. Go over and check our YouTube channel and our Twitter page, and make sure to follow, or make sure to join our Discord, very friendly community, if you want to race in One Hub Racing. Jinx now into the pit lane for hards. He is trying the Confessor trick.
Yep, it's worth a go, especially as you're going to be driving through the pit lane one more time for a drive-through as well, so you might as well put on the hard tyres, try and get to the end and see what you can salvage from what has so far been a very underwhelming race. But things could always change around here, and they could always get better. But crucially, the safety car should be in very soon, I believe, as all the cars should still be pretty much close together in formation, and we may well get racing at the end of this lap.
We may well, and Nipro had rear wing damage, and that is what caused his crash. So awful unfortunate for Nipro. That is what caused the collision for the Mercedes. But the Aston Martin safety car leads us round the Circuit Shield Villeneuve, and we will be going racing on this lap right on cue. Safety car is in here on lap 10 out of 35. Interesting restart ahead of us. Cass will be doing it as Nipro has now left the session.
Yeah, I didn't know he had rear wing damage, which is always a shame. But yeah, with these cars, it's borderline undrivable if you get rear damage. So yeah, it's unfortunate that he's found a wall with his car. But yeah, sympathies to you, Nipro, and hopefully we will see you have a better race next week. But Cass has surprised everyone and gone very early with the restart by the look of it.
We go racing here in Canada. Cass has even caught me out and he's gone very, very early. Excellent launches. Samba will be attacking J. Cole. He doesn't want to be stuck behind the man with the drive-through penalty. Maybe a dive into turn number 1, but J. Cole is too smart for that and he's got too quick a launch. The Scuderia Ferrari is just going to have to try and defend this one, heading in towards the twisty section of this circuit. Samba weaving. He's not happy. He wants to be let through because he knows J. Cole does have that drive-through penalty. The Confessor picking up a 3-second time penalty. Is there going to be a dive here from Nathan Samba? Up the inside the Aston Martin goes, but it doesn't quite work out. J. Cole was too far in front as they reach the apex. Bit of a wobble by the Ferrari. Battery being burned on board the Aston Martin Cognizant car. Not close enough though. He's going to have to wade in towards turn 10 of Lepingle if he wants to try and make a move up the inside. Maybe he will wait for the chicane at the Wall of Champions. Is there going to be a late lunge from Samba? No, he thinks better of it. He does have Merckx right behind on a set of softs, so he wants to dispatch the struggling Scuderia Ferrari very, very early on. Timo's gone up the inside of Marvin Muir's AI there, so Timo up to 9th position. Heading down, it's Samba still looking. It looks like J. Cole just has more straight line speed. Will J. Cole stay in front? No, he's into the pit lane. He is into the pit lane, so Samba's let loose, and Merckx will be on the back of the Aston Martin now.
Yes, of course. Crucially, Samba got held up there, and of course, J. Cole had absolutely no obligation to get out of the way and let your competitors through. So I'm sure that would have angered Samba a little bit, but of course, they're not in the same team, so you couldn't say team orders move out the way, or whatever he would have said, as Owen White has exceeded track limits one too many times. But yeah, let's see if Merckx can get under Samba's rear wing very soon with the 4-lap-old soft tyres. That's probably not the best time of the race to put on soft tyres, but it's definitely worth a go. With a safety car, you might be able to extend the use a couple of laps, and then that could crucially come back to play later on in this race. But Cass still leads from Samba and Merckx round out the podium as it stands.
Yeah, and Samba's going to look to try to get under the rear wing of Cass. Samba still feels that he's an outside challenger here in the championship, and he needs to win both here in Canada and Silverstone, you feel, if he wants to try and win the One Hub Racing P1 Tier Championship. Heading through the final chicane for lap number 12, Ryder and Lakitu battling. Ryder got the job done on the Alfa Romeo, the Red Bull, who was on pole in the dying embers of the session. He was beaten by Cass, but not doing too shabby of a job here in P6. He's on wide in front, and then there is a bit of a gap to the Mercedes. 2 seconds to be exact, as Owen White does have a penalty. J. Cole has come out in 11th position from his drive-through.
Yes, but crucially he's got the drive-through out of the way, and of course he is on the hard tyres, and of course more crucially Jings has stopped mandatory twice, and Timo, look, already has 3 stops, so that's them definitely taking care of, but everyone else needs to stop at least one more time, or one more time mandatory at some point, so this could still go any direction, and I look forward to finding out exactly which way it's going to go.
Yeah, very short laps here in Montreal. We're on lap 13 out of 35. Of course, 2 mandatory pit stops and a engine change during the season are 2 of the big rules here in One Hub Racing if you are new to the series. Hence why we're talking about the mandatory 2-stop. Gap at the front is 1.3 seconds. Is Merckx just getting a little bit closer to Samba? It doesn't look like it, as Ryder Dahl is past Owen White, so that's another one for Ryder Dahl. The Red Bullman is very comfortable on the mediums, and he's got the job done. Owen White's tyres are a little bit more used, but we're under safety car for a good few laps, so they're certainly not 8 laps old. They're much fresher than that, and on lap 14 out of 35, Ryder Dahl up to 5th, Owen White down to 6th.
Yeah, it's definitely crucial having the safety car period. It definitely extends all tyre range by at least a couple of laps, especially the softs and the mediums under the safety car. It's always good to just take a little mental reset as well. It takes a few laps off the driver's capacities as well. But too many safety cars and you begin to get a little bit fatigued by them. At least that's just me. Maybe that's why I'm always racing in the lower tiers. But anyhow.
And we also run out of filler content, so please do not cause too many safety cars, because my page is a limited size for fun facts. I do have a records book beside. I could whip that one out and start reading some Circuit on Villeneuve fun facts, but gap at the front is now less than a second. Nathan Samba is within DRS of his rival Cass here in this Grand Prix. The Aston Martin currently boxed in I was going to say a Williams sandwich, but technically an Aston Martin sandwich with some Williams sliced bread. So maybe Samba is the greatest thing since a sliced pan, as he's looking to win here in Montreal. There's another Evanism to add to many this season.
It's as Evanisms go, it's certainly middling there. You've had worse. But
yeah, it's not as bad as the straight line speed of a goddess. That's the worst thing I've ever said on commentary.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up again, but maybe
you'll
see it at the end of the season highlight reel. Maybe
I have to embrace it at this point. Have to step one of getting over things is denial, and then you kind of just have to embrace it. But we will wait and see. As that's a lag spike heading through the chicane for Samba. That's a wobble for Nathan Samba heading through the turn 8 and 9 chicane. And he's just going to have to settle back in here and settle back into the gap, but certainly he has stayed in the gap, so it wasn't that costly. Mert should be coming into the pits fairly soon because those tyres will be starting to fall off. They have been put under intense pressure in these last few racing laps.
Yeah, they certainly have, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him pop into the pit lane on this occasion around. Is he going to do that? No, he's going to go one more lap at least, and that could be a brave decision, but of course he does have DRS at the moment, and of course when you have DRS, you're tempted to keep on going because you're still catching the guys in front. But if he drops out of the DRS, he'll be definitely straight into the pits.
He's going to try extend it for as long as possible so he can go on the mediums as well. That'll be quite crucial for him. But we'll drop down to Lakitu for a second, who I thought was an awful lot closer to Owen White than he is from a visual perspective. But Lakitu currently 7th position, Owen White in 6th. Lakitu just not able to get past that Aston Martin. Those two have been like that for quite a substantial amount of time. Lap 16 and of 35, we're almost halfway through this race. And it's currently Cass who leads it. He's led from the start, and he's led all the laps, I believe.
Yeah, I think he has, but just as I said he was going to do when you asked me who was going to win the race.
Very true. Your prediction is spot on as of now.
Yeah, we're about halfway through the race as well, so that's
J. Cole has just gone around the outside of the Confessor, heading through turn 8 and 9. That's an excellent overtake from the Ferrari. The Confessor doesn't look back down the inside in towards turn number 10, and he's going to have to unfortunately accept that he has been overtaken. Gap up the front, though, was about a tenth of a second for a moment, and Samba was right on the tail of Cass, but just ran out of straight. Is he going to dive on up the inside, maybe, in towards turn number 1? No, he's not. He thinks better of it.
Yes, it's always better to think another day and think about the long term, but if there's an opportunity, go for it. But you can't try and create opportunities out of nowhere because people call you like Maldonado or things like that, and that's what he used to do. But Confessor's still behind Jake. I thought for a moment he might be able to get back past because he would have had DRS down the back straight into the chicane and Wall of Champions, but he's still behind Jake also. That was a great move and crucial to his potential championship bid. All he needs to do is finish higher than 10th place, and I think he'll get the championship lead overall, so that's less pressure on him next week. But of course he'd love to finish much higher than where he is now in 9th, and he's on the tyres to go deep into this race. But I'm keeping an eye on Merck because surely he's going to pit now because those soft tyres will be screaming out for a lie down.
They will be. In terms of the championship, there's not going to be too much of a change, I believe, as... No, Williams stays out of Mert. There's not going to be too much of a change because Timo, J. Cole and Namsco all not scoring great points. Namsco, of course, isn't even here, so he's not scoring any points. J. Cole would retake the championship lead by only about a point, and Timo would keep himself relatively close, but not that close. In terms of Nathan Samba, of course, Cass, I don't believe, is in the championship fight. No, Cass is 9th. Samba is in 4th on 77. Picking up 20 maximum points today would put him on 97, and that is 1 point off Namsco's tally. So a win for Samba here could really put him back in championship contention. And considering he didn't score points for 4 rounds here, including a sprint race, that is pretty impressive from the Aston Martin.
Yeah, it certainly is impressive, but you've got to question the decision to go onto BC and then switch back to PlayStation, because it looks like he's really found his confidence again, switching back. And of course, if he wins with the fastest lap, they'll level on points, so that's always a possibility.
Of course, there was that dominant Portuguese Grand Prix performance as well in his PC, so he certainly has speed, does Nathan Samba. He's had an excellent season. Heading in towards the chicane, is Merckx finally in? He is finally in, so Merckx finally dives in to the pit lane. Let's see, as Samba, I think, is going to attack for the race lead here, just as Merckx's teammate, or Cass's teammate, Merckx does pit. Samba, he isn't able to get it done. Let's see what tyres the Williams goes for. It's going to be a set of the mediums, presumably to the end of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle to go pretty much full throttle for the entirety of the stint, but it's definitely doable. But he's certainly going to be feeling the lack of performance in the final few laps, and that is Samba drifting it round and saving it quite nicely, I must add. So that's well done, Samba. That's the second moment he's had. He must not be looking forward to any more. But at the moment, yeah, that's I guess that is Merckx's plan there to go to the end on the mediums, but of course that does give him options later on in the race as well if anything happens, such as a virtual or a full or just anything like that. But yeah, it's always interesting to see Samba doing well, because we know through the history books, if you look at his database, he's always been quick. He's usually in the upper echelon of the points as well, so the slow start of the season is very uncharacteristic for him. But yeah, it's great to see. This is a fantastic battle, and hopefully we've still got 16 or so laps to see who comes out in front in the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yeah, and of course it's almost a home race for the Aston Martin team, of course owned by Lawrence Stroll. Lance scored his first points here in the Canadian Grand Prix and went and took a podium a week later in the Azerbaijani Grand Prix, finished third behind Daniel Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas. And Samba, that's another moment through there. That's a huge slide. That's an excellent catch from Nathan Samba. Yellow flags, that is for Jinx, who's gone off heading through the final corner.
Yeah, I think he's knocked his wing off as well, so he'll be in the pits again. So unfortunately, hard to the end is not on his agenda today, but he's still in the race, of course. And did Marvin Moore ever get back, by the way? Is he still?
I don't think so. I think he's still AI.
Yeah, is he still AI? I was going to say it's sad for him, but there's an opportunity there, but he's not even in the car, so perhaps not. It's a shame that Haas has had a miserable day today. One couldn't even get out of the garage to start the race, and the other one is propping up the field in 12th position. But if he got back in, he'd get a point, but I'm not sure he can get a point for not being in there for long enough. But anyway,
it's unfortunate for Haas as well, considering they were the dominant team in this championship and in the Constructors' Championship. Of course, there's some outside factors for that we won't be discussing, but still, for Tim's stake, he was almost guaranteed to win a one-hub racing title in terms of the Constructors, but it'll be absolutely nothing now, because he's well out of the fight. There was too many mistakes made, especially in Japan and Singapore, where he was in very good positions. The outplayed racingman's not had a strong season overall. Lakitu passes home wide due to a pit stop from the Northern Irishman, and the other Aston Martin exits the pits on mediums, and he'll be going to the end of the Grand Prix. But still, Cass leads. Samba right behind despite his mistakes. Cass is just absorbing this pressure like a shock absorber. He is doing an excellent job.
Well, for a Formula 1 car, I thought you were going to say absorbing the pressure like a mass damper, but we won't go there, given that they're not allowed anymore. But anyhow, that's just my obscure fact of the day out of the way. And that's a great pit stop on White. He's going to be a lot more comfortable as the stint goes on than
Oh, the Confessor's gone up the inside into turn 10. Excellent move by the Confessor on Timo. He has got that job done. That's a beautiful move. J. Cole pulled a similar excellent move from him, but Timo's going to fight back here, heading in towards the chicane. Who's going to lead it? The Confessor's going to keep it up the inside, surely? No, he has to back off as J. Cole dives into the pit lane for his second mandatory stop. The Confessor's got much better run here on the Alpine. Timo's going to have to defend in towards turn number 1. The Confessor up the inside. Who breaks the letter of the 2? The Alpine, just a wobble. He's going to have to vacate the track. He's going to have to go off the circuit and go through the runoff, and the Confessor now is going to lose a spot. Timo picks up a 5-second time penalty, but he's been overtaken twice nevertheless. Mercked up the inside now on the fresher mediums of the Confessor. The Confessor somehow defending the position, and the Red Bull man is up to 4th. Mercked in 5th. Timo's trying to fight back after losing those positions in possibly unfair fashion. There was a bit of contact between the two, but the Confessor's from wide, and Merck sneaks through. Excellent overtake for the Williams. Timo right on the back of the Confessor. This is an excellent battle between the 3 shades of blue, and Timo going to go around the outside of the Confessor now, in towards turn 6 and 7. Oh, so close. Confessor trying to repeat J. Cole's move on him, and now back to where this all started. Turn number 10. Timo retakes the position.
Well, that was a hectic lap for the 3 of them there, wasn't it? But yeah, I think
top 2 in the pits.
Yeah.
But here comes the Confessor. The Confessor's still going to attack. The Confessor's plan is to go to the end of the race here, but of course he's not going to win it nevertheless, because Merckx has already done his 2 mandatory pit stops and is in front. Into the pits goes Timo. The Confessor will carry on after that hectic battle. Where is Cass and Samba going to come out on the circuit? Merckx, we know the undercut is more powerful. In towards turn number 1. There's the other Williams on the exit. There's the other Williams side by side. Who has the better traction out of the corner? It's about even, but Merckx has his tyres up to temperature. Merckx leads the Canadian Grand Prix ahead of teammate Cass. The undercut was played to perfection, but Cass and Samba will have the much quicker tyres here, and this is the battle for the race victory.
And of course, in all that, you have Owen White, the fastest man on track at the moment, so he's always capable of a moment like that. And usually, when that happens, following is a very simple mistake that he shouldn't be making. But he's got the capabilities of being quick. He's just got to back up that with consistent performances, and I'm sure he'll be looking to have a consistent stint. And he's trying to make a move on the Ferrari that's just in front of him in P8, and he's having a strong race from his recent performances, but he's always pleasure to see on the track. And yeah, let's have a look back at the front, I guess, to see who's in the best shape of the tyres. You have Samba and Cass on medium tyres that are fresh out of the box, as you've just seen, and of course Spy will have to pit in the next couple of laps or so, because those mediums won't last too much longer unless he's trying to stretch them for a soft stint at the end.
Yeah, it could be, and I think Owen Wyatt would be a really good championship challenger if he had consistency, because the pace is there, but it's just consistency that he just never has. And oh, that's Samba picking up a 3-second time penalty. That could be quite crucial as we wait and see what Cass and Merckx make similar mistakes. It's no penalty so far for either of them. That could be quite crucial for Samba in his hunt for winning the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yeah, that definitely could well be crucial indeed, but we're going to have to see what happens in the next couple of laps as the yellow in Sector 3 is.
That's a retirement in the pit lane, I think. That's Jinx who has retired in the pit lane. Unfortunate for the McLaren man, but he is out of the Canadian Grand Prix. Only 2 retirements are Jinx and Nipro, and of course Tim never actually made it out of the garage, so he has been out since the opening lap.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfair for him, but I was just looking at Owen Wyatt's record this season. He's had 3 points finishes and 3 DNFs in a row. So hopefully, and it wasn't even here last week, so hopefully he's got all of the bad performances out of his system for this season and can start to build towards next season. But he's definitely trying to get past J. Cole. He's still got DRS, and he's a little bit too far away for now, but watch this space. We'll see in the next few laps to see if he can get any closer.
We will see as Spy leads the Canadian Grand Prix by 11.6 seconds. Of course, still has to make a mandatory pit stop, so he will not be winning it unless there's a safety car and he comes out in the lead of the race, but we'll have to wait and see. Merckx is your provisional leader ahead of teammate Cass. Now, this is interesting for the Williams. Will they battle each other? I imagine they will, because they're not really fighting for a championship.
Well, you always want your teammates to battle, but can you trust them well enough to do it cleanly? And I'm sure these two will keep it as clean as they get, but Cass is under pressure.
Yellow flag. Oh, I unfortunately believe we've called this one, as it's Owen Wyatt that's gone round. And 3 DNFs in a row for Owen Wyatt. And now there's no front wing for the Aston Martin. No safety car, virtual safety car. Spy is into the pit lane, and Owen Wyatt's ran wide at the corner. And that's clever, actually, because he can get the car hooked round in the runoff. But it's going to be into the pit lane, unfortunately, for Owen Wyatt. As where's Spy going to come out? He's going to come out in front of the Confessor, quite crucially. So very good for the Mercedes. He's come out in 5th position.
Yeah, that's very, very crucial there. Confessor's not having everything his own way today, but he's lasted longer than... Owen Wyatt sped in the pit lane as well. That's not great, but...
I think it'll be a retirement for Owen here. I can't see him carrying on.
Well, he might do. He hasn't retired just yet, so that's always...
Oh yeah, he might be trying for the fastest lap point. He is actually still going to score points, so if he just carries on, he will score points. So he may as well. It's worth his while.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's worth a while to carry on because it's points for the top 12, just as a quick reminder. And of course, if you finish 11th out of 11, you're guaranteed that extra point for fastest lap outside the top 10 as well. So do carry on. I was going to say maybe he hasn't retired straight away because he's gone to retrieve the controller that is yeeted across the room with that mistake again. But no, he seems to be... back in the zone, ready to race again, which is always good to see. But talking of ready to race, you have Samba on the back of Cass, but Cass seems to have such an exceptional drive out of the corners. Samba's finding it borderline impossible to get by today, and this is fantastic.
Yeah, Cass has put up a defensive showing and a defensive class here in Montreal. Samba has not been able to work his way past, but can Cass maybe find a way past his teammate? Is he just holding off a tad? And does he have better pace than him? Well, we're yet to see it, but just remember... Oh, no! 3-second time penalty for Cass. That's another mistake, unless Merckx... If Merckx can stay penalty-free here till the end, he'll be in a very good position to win this one.
Yes, he's definitely the strongest out of the three to win that, but let's have a quick check at the penalties. Yep. Cass, Samba, Ryderdal, and Confessor, and Marvin Moore all have 3 seconds each between them, and Lakitu has 6 in P7, and Wire has 11 down in P11, and no penalties for Merck, J. Cole, and Timo. So we called it at the top. It's definitely going to be about track limits and who can get the least penalties, and that could well see Merck have a slight advantage.
Cass. Look at Cass, he's already attacking because he knows he has work to do. Merck defends the inside, Cass going to try, working around the outside on his teammate. The two Williamses are side by side through the first couple of corners. Cass worked it the long way, now he has the short run. Cass leads here in Canada. That's an excellent overtake on his teammate. That is exquisite racing from Cass. He's got the job done on his Williams Racing teammate. Cass really is putting on a show. Cass leads here in Montreal. Now Merck, is he going to... No! Oh my goodness me. I am speechless. I am speechless. Cass has just taken the lead with one of the best moves of the season and he's instantly spun it. Oh, dearie me.
He did all the hard work. All he had to do was just keep it in a straight line for a bit, and I'm sure Merck would have been holding up Samba no end. And I was going to say Cass has the fresher tyres out of the two Williams drivers, so that could certainly help, but apparently fresher tyres doesn't mean anything when you're battling your teammate. But
he's did everything right. My head is in my hands for him, and now Merckx is going to lose the race lead because Nathan Samba leads in Canada. He was P3 heading onto this lap. He now leads the Canadian Grand Prix, and Ryderdal is right behind these as well. Ryderdal might have a shout here in this one, but the Aston Martin leads what was a Williams 1-2. It's now a Williams 2-8.
Of course, you say Samba started the last lap in P3, but he started at the back and was P3 by the end. Well, P2 by the end of lap 1. Such a fantastic start that I don't think I've ever seen before in one hub racing. And Owen Wyatt is now out of the race, and that looks to be pit lane retirement because I think he's had another spin.
I think so. That's Owen Wyatt now retiring from the Grand Prix. We are down to 10 here in One Hub Racing. Samba leads. and Merckx in second place. Rotterdam in third, and I have to say Spy's catching these as well, so he might even have a shout, but Merckx, you'd still have to fancy for it, purely based on the fact he has no penalties, but we know how easy it is to pick them up here in Canada. We still have only got one full safety car period. There might be another twist in this tale.
There might well be another twist indeed, as you say, but I'm checking the constructor standings, and if Owen Wyatt and your race leader at the moment, Sam, had been a little bit more consistent, they could well have been in a shout of winning the constructors as well. As it stands, they could still get on the podium of the constructors, but no one's going to catch Ferrari.
No one is going to catch Ferrari. J. Cole and Larkin have been excellent when the pace has not really been there. Hello to Chalkers, who's watching, saying just shows how hard he was pushing, talking about cars. Good to see you, George, in the comments. Good to hear from Chalkers, the former Owen Wyatt, I suppose we could say, here in the P1 tier. And Chalkers will know well about spinning when getting in a good position. I wonder, do you remember that Monza race, Chalkers? Because unfortunately I do. He was fighting with Tom Robbo and Montana for the entire race, and then unfortunately the Red Bull at the time did drop it when taking the race lead. But the gap is now 9/10 of a second. Samba's getting a hurry on here. He knows he has work to do if he wants to win the race. That's wide from Merckx. Ryder Dahl, opportunistic as ever, looking to try and take this one. He's more battery, so he's going to try and work a move on the Williams. It's going to be the outside heading in towards the final chicane. Has he got the job done? He has got the job done. Excellent move from Ryder Dahl. He's up to second here in the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's a fantastic move, and that is definitely what you come to expect from drivers like Ryder Dahl in this tier, and that is certainly going to help him finish the season much stronger than he started. He's had some decent results. He had a second place in Bahrain. No, he didn't. Sorry, that's Larkin. I just said he had fourth place in Bahrain. He had a win the week after, so he's had some great results. But unfortunately, last week he wasn't here. The week before that, he was 11th and 13th the week before that. So again, inconsistent but quick. So it's definitely been a fantastic season, because you never really know who's going to win any given race. And I thought for sure today I knew, but unfortunately, Cass decided that he didn't want to win from the front, but he does want fastest lap, so there you go.
Yellow flag as well. That's for Timo in sector number 1, who's gone round. So Cass now has the fastest lap point inside the top 10. I don't think we'll have a fastest lap point outside the top 10, as they've all retired, unfortunately. But Samba, he's got to hurry on here. He is making a move and leads by 1.7 seconds. He knows how crucial this 20 points is over the championship rivals, as Ryder Dahl picks up another penalty that almost confirms Merckx on the podium. Unless, of course, he does what his teammate did.
I was going to say, you would think so, but if there's still a few laps for him to get it slightly wrong on an apex, and he could be copying his teammate into the wall or anything. So he's definitely looking good for a podium, but it's not quite settled yet. But he's definitely in a fantastic position nonetheless. And everyone there, I can see, has done the 2 stops now at least, so that's great. And yeah, let's just enjoy the closing few laps, because this has been an absolutely sensational one hub race.
All tyres can... Actually, I say that. The Confessor might be getting some throwbacks to Belgium, as that's Cass retiring from the race. He's picked up the fastest lap and had enough. But the Confessor might be getting some throwbacks to Belgium, because those tyres won't be feeling too kind. They certainly won't be liking them come the end of the race. He's did 23 laps on those hards, and he's going to have to put up a defensive masterclass if he wants to keep J. Cole behind, although he does have a penalty, so J. Cole will get the spot anyways. J. Cole will recover well, and he'll take the championship lead heading into the season finale. No Namsco here, of course, has made things slightly easier for himself, but he will have a fierce challenge from Nathan Samba in the season finale in Britain.
Yes, he certainly will, and you can only imagine what would have been if Samba had have had some slightly stronger performances in the mid-season. Although he did miss a few races as well, so just think about what could have been. But yeah, he's enjoyed himself at this moment, and he's out in front. But Ryder Dahl is going to try to keep him honest, but Merckx is also right behind. But his teammate would be feeling very Merckx about what happened earlier on tonight. But Spy's in fourth. That's a great performance from the new kid on the block. And of course, Confessor well, we've been here before with him, haven't we, in Belgium. My heart sank when I saw the tyre implode the way that it did. But hopefully he can just keep it going for 3 more laps, and J. Cole will be keeping a very close eye. Knowing what happened in Belgium, he will be looking for any sniff of a tyre delamination.
Samba still needs to pull a few more tenths of a second over Merckx if he wants to win this one, because of course he does have that 3-second time penalty. Here comes J. Cole. He's going to attack the Red Bull in towards the final chicane, and I think this will be an easy one. Yep, the Confessor doesn't really fight it, and he's going to just sit behind, and he's just trying to manage the tyres home. The Confessor maybe should think about pinning on later in the race, because he always seems to end up in these conditions where his tyres are going to blow any second.
Yeah, hopefully he's going to learn that ahead of next season, and assume he'll be back for the next season. But in any future seasons he does race here in One Hub Racing, he'll be certainly thinking of what could have been in that Belgium race, and of course what's going on today. But he does have a couple of podiums this season for doing it, I assume, the same thing, so it's definitely always good to see him continuing to try. But it doesn't always work out for him, but it's brave, and we commend him for it. But sometimes you just need to stop a little bit later on in the race to give yourself a fighting chance.
Yeah, it's the same tactic he's tried as well. He tried this in Belgium. It's where he does the 2 pit stops under the safety car. It's a clever tactic, but maybe a little bit later on in the race. We're heading on to the final lap of the race, though. Samba is pushing. He wants to extend this gap to 3 seconds. Don't spin it now, Nathan, is what the Aston Martin mechanics will be saying, but he is in good position because it's Ryder Dahl quite crucially behind him, not Merckx. Merckx is behind Ryder Dahl.
Yeah, that's definitely going to help
Samba. Of course, it's 3 seconds for Samba, 6 for Ryder Dahl, so Ryder Dahl has almost lost second position, will finish third due to Spy, and fourth having a few penalties. But Samba only has the 3. He needs to pull 2 tenths of a second really to have it confirmed.
Yep, definitely. We'll be keeping an eye on that gap over the closing stages of this final lap of the race. But it's looking good, Sunshine, as a world-renowned engineer once said.
Yeah, that was that Sebastian Vettel's engineer when he won the world title? I think it was.
Yes.
Heading in towards turn 10 for the final time. A track where Sebastian Vettel has unfortunately been very hard done by. I think he's looking all good. He just needs to make sure he nails this final chicane. The gap is 3.8 seconds. Nathan Samba, 2 more corners to go. The Aston Martin is going to win once again in One Hub Racing. It's his 4th career victory, and Nathan Samba dances right back into championship contention and wins the Canadian Grand Prix. Ryder Dahl comes across the line in second, but it will be third as Merckx will inherit second on a penalty count. Spy will come home 4th, and J. Cole will come home 5th to inherit the championship lead for the first time this season, heading into the final round. Excellent performance from the Ferrari to come back from that drive-through. The Confessor smashes across the line, and so does Lakitu. 6th and 7th for them. The Confessor survived. Timo will come across the line in 8th, but Samba wins once again for the 4th time in One Hub Racing.
Yeah, wow, that's a pretty breathless end to the race, as it began with such tenacity from Samba to come from the back of the grid. We can't understate that enough. What a fantastic first lap he had, from last to second, and he just held his nerve when it mattered and did the right things at the right time. And I'm going to sound like doing the Anfield Wrap in a minute, so I'm going to stop there. That's not what I intended at all. I'm just going to watch Timo come across the line and think about what I've just done.
Yeah, it is Timo who comes across the line in 8th position, and he'll pick up some points. As what an excellent performance from Samba. We will see the podium now, ladies and gentlemen.
With an in-game driver of the day to Samba, and I think one of us may agree with the game for once this week after that performance.
I think so. Here is your race winner then. I know I made a bit of a cheesy commentary line saying dancing in back to the championship, but that is a horrendous dance for the man who's quite ironically named Samba. You'd think he'd be good at it, but he lifts the trophy for the 4th time in his One Hub Racing career. 26 points finishes now for Nathan Samba out of 27 races. He's only not finished in the points once, so excellent performance from the Belgian. And he puts himself right back into championship contention. J. Cole's the more comfortable man going into the season finale in Silverstone. But certainly we have a fight in our hands. It is ERT Samba who wins the Canadian Grand Prix with a total race time of 45 minutes and 6 seconds. Merckx in second, with Rotterdam the Swede picking up a podium just like he did back in the P1 tier on F1 2020. Spy finishes in 4th, followed by J. Cole in 5th, the Confessor in 6th, Lakitu 7th, Timo in 8th, Marvin Muir 9th, and then your non-finishers were Cass, Owen Wyatt, Jinx, Nipro and Tim. Matthew, who's your driver of the day?
Well, there's quite a few that I'd love to nominate, but I'm only allowed to do one, and what could have been? But I think I'm going to play it slightly weird, and I will nominate the Confessor for Driver of the Day, but I will not ask him about the Battle of Hastings. I
thought that's the sole reason you did nominate him, to be fair.
He's explained it now, but I can't ignore the performance, to be fair. It was a fantastic performance from towards the back, but the question I would like to ask him is, do you think if you'd have showed this sort of form earlier on in the season, you would also be challenging for the title come next week?
Well, you've messed my prediction up a little bit, because I thought you were going to go Samba, and I was going to go J. Cole, ask him about his drive-through, but I think I have to go for Samba, and just ask him, how does this feel, and do you feel you're back in champion... Sorry, let's try this one again. I'm just simply going to ask him, after that win, do you feel you are back in contention to win the championship in the season finale? Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we do have time for here around the Circuit Gilles de Villeneuve. Join us next week for the One Hub Racing Season 22 P1 tier finale around Silverstone. What a race it is going to be. From myself, Evan Dalton, and from Matthew alongside me, stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next time.